Welcome to another episode of Silvie and Didy React. I'm Silvie,
And I'm Diddy.
and today we're going to react to the dark side, the DCU, as opposed to the MCU. Now, before we get into this video, which is going to be a trailer for the up-and-coming new release of Superman, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Well, Diddy, you and I have demonstrated and talked about our love of the MCU, but there's another comic book universe, the DCU, and I would say that it's had some ups, but a lot of downs, and we're going to see if there's been a course correction.
Okay, yeah, I'm excited for this.
So
So do
just,
we want to go ahead and jump right into that trailer?
well, I was going to give a little bit of a background for this one. So it's
Okay.
Superman. As some of you may or may not know, Henry Cavill was the latest Superman, but for various reasons, he got booted from the project. So this is a new actor for, I believe, a new Superman. I am not sure where this is, if they're trying to reboot the universe or if they're trying to just continue with what they already have, which is like Shazam and
Mm-hmm.
is it Black Adam? I'm trying to remember
Yep,
that.
yep,
Okay.
Black Adam.
So they've done a couple of these movies. They did the Justice League, they
Mm-hmm.
did Batman versus Superman. So I'm unsure if they're just doing a strict reboot, but I know that James Gunn is the director. And so he's going to maybe the Suicide Squad it, where they do this reboot and they bring in some new actors, they bring in a new flavor, but they might still be in the same universe.
Okay.
So with that said, let's hit it.
Yeah, well, let's see what James has for us here.
Mhm.
Okay, pulling that up right now. Tell me when you can see it.
I can see it.
Okay, we're hitting play.
Let's do it.
Crypto. Home. Take me home.
Superman.
And there we go.
Okay.
So today I sprung this one on you. What is your initial reaction to the trailer?
Yeah. Um, I was, actively thinking about this question because I knew you would pose it to me right afterward.
Mhm.
And I'm just buying myself some time here. I think honestly, so this is gonna this maybe be a little bit strange. I think my initial reaction is specifically on crypto, which might be a little strange given, we have so many, new Superman movie. It's not Henry Cavill, yada yada yada, all that stuff. But specifically, like the biggest thing that like has me thinking is, do I like crypto being in this movie?
A super
Because
dog.
for some reason, for me, and I don't know how you feel about this, crypto feels more of a like cartoon
Hmm.
aspect of Superman, not something that I would have expected to see in a Superman live action movie
Right.
because
If it's
that it
grounded, yeah.
necessarily it like necessitates CGI. They
Right.
might have a dog with them when they're filming, but I'm assuming that, especially with current movie magic, they're just going to do full CGI replacements of crypto. So, it's that feels a little more cartoony to me.
Hmm.
But otherwise, I think my reaction is I was kind of thinking about like it does based on some of those shots, it does feel like they might be rebooting Superman.
Yeah.
But if they're doing it specifically for this new James Gunn headed DC universe,
Hmm.
I think that's fine. Especially if the movie, I mean, ultimately it kind of comes back, is the movie itself actually a good movie? What is
Mm.
their, how do they treat the character of Superman? How do they treat some of the other characters? Um, and right now it's just a teaser, so we don't know that much, but um, it's got me reasonably excited overall.
Mm. Yeah, I was going to agree with you. I think that and we've talked a little bit about it, but there's the Chris Nolan Batman, which we both love, and it's really grounded. So you're obviously not going to have like the magician element that's in the comic book, where he has to contend with aliens or supernatural beings because it's a grounded Batman that's basically Chicago, New York mixed together. And the Tumblr's realistic. He's not doing really gimmicky stuff, and the Joker doesn't have gimmicky huge bombs and laughing gas, et cetera, et cetera. But then, yeah, you have the comics, which does do campy stuff like Crypto and some of the sillier stuff. But I don't know. I think of the Guardians of the Galaxy, where I think James Gunn captured both some of the fantastic stuff of like space travel, but
Yeah.
also it felt kind of retro and
Yes.
more grounded than some of the other stuff is.
Hmm.
So there's a physics, there's a reality to the unreality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So to that point, the fact
Hmm.
that he did um Guardians, which
Hmm.
included Rocket Raccoon, and I he was one of my favorite characters
Yes. Yeah.
of the Guardians. It does lend some credence that they'll be able to treat crypto appropriately.
And
So that is
yeah.
a great point. That actually does you actually have just in live action or in real time, you've
In real
you've
time.
eased some of my worries
Yeah, and
about
even the
crypto.
Suicide Squad, where one of the characters is a talking shark, and you think, how can he do this? But he manages to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, to your point, I think that crypto, I was like, okay, like that's not a deal breaker for me. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, somebody put in this dog that's a Superman dog. How is this possible? And just lose my mind. I'm willing to say, all right, let's see where you go with this.
Hmm.
The thing that
Yeah,
does
and it
have,
and it
Mhm.
showed several shots of I'm not I'm not very familiar with comics overall.
Mhm.
I've gotten into some Batman comics. So to your point, I love the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy,
Yeah.
and that got me interested. And I was like, what are the comics that inspired this Batman trilogy?
Mhm.
So that's sort of where I've entered comics so far. So outside of that, like some of the classic Superman stuff,
Hmm.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But they showed several shots of different um, people. So obviously you have Lex Luthor. I do know that.
Yes.
Um, but some of the other folks, I'm not sure who the primary antagonist is going to be. But especially in recent Marvel, getting your antagonist, and especially if Lex is going to have to
Hmm.
make an appearance because he's just sort of like the classic Superman uh, bad guy or Superman antagonist, I guess.
Right.
Um, and he's shown up in a lot of Superman stuff over the years. So I just
Hmm.
hope that they can get him good and whoever maybe is the primary antagonist specifically of the movie, if it's not Lex, hopefully the character motivations and everything will
Yes.
be good because that's somewhere that Marvel has been lacking recently, and it's really, I
Yes.
think, downgraded their movies.
Now I've boosted your confidence in real time, but I might bring down your confidence in real time too. The thing that does have me concerned, I see the trailer and there are maybe three superhero characters in addition to Superman and Crypto that appear to be good guys that will be on his team. And like you said, there's Luther. There appeared to be this reptilian creature, whatever that is,
Hmm.
and this dude with green powers. I don't know who that is. If you
Hmm.
want to shout at us in the comments, oh, these characters are these people. But there are a lot of characters, and this is a reboot. So we're reintroduced to people, we're setting the stage. My fear is it's going to be too many characters for too short a time.
Hmm. We're
And
gonna
that's
get a
usually,
little Eternals on this one.
yes. Yes, you can get very Eternals very quickly. You can kind of get Justice League too. One of the things about that is you tried to smush a bunch of characters together and you didn't develop it like the Marvel Universe developed it. Say what you will about the current Marvel phase. The initial phase took its time. They devoted movies to their main characters that anchored the series. So when you got to the Avengers movie, you knew them. And so you could move through the paces quicker to the action, to the stakes for the universe. And you had continuity, which was important. So that is the big concern that I have. How
Yeah.
are you going to do it? But then once again, I'm going to boost my confidence in real time. James Gunn did that with Guardians of the Galaxy. He
Yeah.
gave us a team of two, three, four, no, it's five characters. There's Groot, Rocky, yeah, Rocky? No, what's the raccoon?
Drax.
Drax, um, and then Gamora and Quill, Peter Quill. So that's five characters, and they were pretty developed, or at least their team was developed. Even if you didn't
Mhm.
have as much backstory on each of them, you had enough.
Yeah. And each movie kind
Hmm.
of went more into depth
Yes.
on certain of the characters.
Hmm.
So,
Agreed.
yeah, and that's where I was kind of alluding. I don't know enough about the Superman lore to know if those shots that we saw of super characters were
Hmm.
super goods or super bads.
The
Um,
gal with the wings and the mace is a good character. I forget her name, but she's in the Justice League.
yeah. So I wonder if they're setting up another Justice League then with
That's a
this.
tall task for a reboot. That's all I'm saying.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah, and but to your point though, if they keep the team relatively small, at least
mhm,
at this opening stage, I'm certainly not against especially a character like Superman present on Earth. It makes sense
mhm.
that he would gather a following of supers
Yes.
just just from existing and going out and doing things. Other people will see that and say, things are getting a little hairy out here on my own. I'm gonna
Mhm.
team up with this guy who's seemingly invincible.
Right.
Um, so yeah. And then one thing that and maybe you can So one thought that I had that I wanted to pose to you, one of the so because of who the character of who Superman is, he's this
Hmm.
big superhero guy. He goes out, he fights for the good. Um, One of the plot lines that seems to always appear in Superman movies that
Hmm.
I'm not sure how much I buy is the public backlash that gets thrown at him.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on that because we see some elements of it there where it
Hmm.
seems like there's some crowds in at least one shot that seem to be um, protesting Superman.
Yeah. I'm gonna answer that, and like that will include my final thoughts as well, and then I'll come back to you. But
Okay.
I think that there's an element there where that definitely can be the case. I mean, you think of successful titans like Elon Musk, where they're very successful, and sometimes that breeds this idea of resentment or frustration that the person doesn't do what you want them to do, or that they don't intervene and solve everything. I mean, you think about the problem of evil question. Here's this evil, here's this very powerful figure. Why didn't they stop this? So I can see where that element of frustration with Superman can come from the backlash. Just my other closing thought is I think that to your point, it's really important to have a well-sketched antagonist, and throwing multiple antagonists carries a risk that none of them will be really well established. So I hope that there's a really well-established antagonist in addition to Lex Luthor. I'm assuming that there are multiple antagonists, but I hope that it's well established and it's not just bad guy flavor of the week.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think my final thoughts are I am reasonably excited
Mhm.
for this movie. It might end up on the list. There's only so many movies that we go to each year now because
Mhm.
we have a baby. So we have a short list of movies that we develop that we go see, and I'm hoping this could be on that list. Um, and I what I would like to see in the DC universe is a big bad on the scale of Thanos, where we
Hmm.
have some really strong motivations and is a antagonist that just pushes um, the overall pace of the grander story forward and is very compelling. And if that's not Lex Luthor, um, I don't know whoever it would be. I'm not familiar enough with the Superman universe, but um, I would hope that they are able to develop a compelling antagonist that can be around for a while.
Agreed.
Um, and yeah, you've assuaged some of my concerns on crypto, on people, what you said regarding people pushing back against Superman.
Yeah,
That totally makes a lot of sense. So I'm actually on board with that now. And hopefully, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I just hope that they can treat the Superman character with respect and they can set up a compelling antagonist.
agreed, agreed. Well, thank you for listening, dear viewer. If you would like to see more content like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, you can email us. Our emails are in the description below if you want us to react to a specific video or article. We'll see you in the next episode.
See you.